Father demands woman give up her seat. He never expected the flight attendant's next words. They say, respect is not about who you are. It's about how you treat people when you think nobody is watching. Now, let me tell you about the day a quiet woman boarded a flight. And within minutes, the entire plane would witness a moment that no one on board would ever forget. But before we dive in, please support our channel. It's free. Just hit that like button, subscribe, and share this story so we can keep bringing you powerful real-life lessons that move hearts and open eyes. Now, let's begin. The departure gate at JFK buzzed with its usual mix of chatter, rolling luggage, and impatient sighs. It was a late Friday evening, and the flight to Dallas was fully booked. Amelia Johnson, a 36-year-old black woman with soft curls pulled into a bun and a neatly pressed blazer, walked quietly toward boarding. She wasn't flashy. She wasn't loud. But she carried herself with the quiet confidence of someone who had lived through enough storms to no longer need anyone's approval. She worked in education policy, a job that demanded long hours and countless flights. But this trip wasn't about business. It was personal. Amelia was flying to Dallas to attend her niece's piano recital. The first time the little girl would play in front of an audience. She found her seat, 12A, a window seat, and placed her tote bag carefully under the chair. She exhaled, pulling out a book. Finally, a quiet moment. But peace doesn't always last long. Just minutes after passengers began to settle, a tall man in a tailored Navy suit stopped beside her row. His daughter, maybe 16, trailed behind, chewing gum loudly. The girl wore designer sneakers and clutched a phone like it was an extension of her hand. The man cleared his throat sharply. "Excuse me," he said, his voice clipped, as though every word carried an expectation of obedience. "You're in the wrong seat. That's my daughter's spot. Window seat 12A. Amelia looked up, calm but firm. "No," she said politely, showing her boarding pass. "This is my assigned seat, 12A. The man leaned closer, scanning the ticket in her hand, his jaw tightening. "Well, yes, I see that, but my daughter prefers a window. She always sits by the window. Surely you can move to the middle." His tone wasn't a request. It was an order wrapped in entitlement. Amelia didn't flinch. "I'm sorry," she said softly, "but I chose the seat in advance. I'd like to stay here." The girl huffed dramatically, as though denied the crown jewel of the universe. "Dad, come on. You said I could sit by the window." Passengers nearby began shifting uncomfortably, eyes darting between the confrontation. The man raised his voice. "Miss, do the decent thing and move. Don't make this difficult. My daughter deserves to be comfortable. Be gracious." The word gracious hung in the air like a slap. Amelia's hand tightened on her book. She had been here before. Not this exact situation, but countless moments where people assumed she should shrink, should yield, should disappear to make space for someone else. Her heart thudded, but her voice remained steady. "I'm not moving," she said. "She can take her assigned seat." That's when the man snapped his fingers at a passing flight attendant. "Excuse me, we have a situation here. This lady is refusing to move, so my daughter can sit by the window." The attendant paused, a young woman in her late 20s with neatly pinned hair and kind, alert eyes. Her name tag read Claire. She approached carefully, her hands folded, her tone measured. "Sir, what seems to be the problem?" "This woman," the father said, pointing accusingly, "is in 12A, but my daughter prefers window seats. She won't move. I'd like you to handle it." All eyes in the row, and a few from the rows behind, landed on Amelia. Some looked sympathetic. Others looked curious. A few looked expectant, as though they were waiting to see whether she'd cave. Amelia met the attendant's eyes, then handed over her boarding pass without a word. Claire scanned it, then nodded. "Yes, ma'am. You're absolutely in the right seat. 12A is yours." The father scoffed. "Well, yes, technically, but surely you can ask her to switch. It's common courtesy. My daughter has flown dozens of times in windows. She doesn't do well in middle seats. She deserves better treatment than this." Deserves better treatment. The words pricked the air like needles. Claire inhaled slowly. She looked at Amelia, then at the girl, then back at the father. Something in her face shifted, a quiet resolve hardening. "Sir," she said firmly, her voice calm but resonant, "every passenger deserves equal treatment on this flight. Every ticket holds the same weight. If your daughter wanted a window seat, you or she should have selected it when booking. This passenger is under no obligation to move. Her comfort is just as important as your daughter's." The cabin went silent. The man blinked, his confidence faltering for the first time. "Are you implying my daughter isn't important? Do you know who I am?" Claire didn't flinch. "I know you're a paying passenger, sir, just like everyone else here. And I know that respect is not a privilege for a few. It's a right for all." A soft murmur rippled through the plane. A woman two rows back whispered, "That's right." Another man nodded quietly. The daughter stomped her foot. "This is ridiculous. Dad, make them fix it." But the father's face flushed, a red that came not from anger now, but from something more unfamiliar, shame. Amelia closed her book slowly, her gaze steady but not unkind. For a moment, she thought about offering the seat anyway, not because he deserved it, but because she knew battles like this could drain the soul. But then she remembered her niece, waiting in Dallas. She remembered all the time she had given up space and silence, and she realized no more. "No," she said gently, to no one in particular, but loud enough to be heard. "I am staying in my seat." Claire smiled faintly, a small act of solidarity, then turned back to the man. "Sir, your daughter's assigned seat is 12B. If you'd like to take your seats, we can prepare for departure. Otherwise, I will need to escalate this matter, and it could delay the flight." The man's jaw worked silently, pride battling practicality. Finally, with a sharp exhale, he sank into the aisle seat. His daughter, sulking, slid into the middle. But the moment was not forgotten. The plane carried an energy, a collective awareness that something had shifted. The twist. An hour into the flight, turbulence rocked the cabin. Passengers clutched armrests, eyes darting nervously. The pilot's voice crackled through, steady but firm. "Ladies and gentlemen, we've hit a storm pocket. Please remain seated with seatbelts fastened." Amelia sat still, breathing evenly. The girl beside her gripped the armrest. Her bravado dissolved into fear. When the plane jolted again, the girl whimpered. Without hesitation, Amelia placed a calm hand over hers. "It's all right," Amelia whispered. "Deep breaths. Just breathe with me." The girl's wide eyes met hers. For the first time, she looked past the seat, past the skin color, past the entitlement. She just saw a human being offering kindness. Her breathing slowed. She nodded faintly. The father, watching from the aisle, said nothing, but his face softened, a flicker of realization dawning. Not about turbulence, but about the quiet strength of the woman he had tried to dismiss. By the time the wheels touched down in Dallas, the storm had passed. People gathered their belongings, shaking off nerves. As Amelia rose to leave, the girl spoke softly, almost awkwardly. "Thanks for, earlier." Amelia smiled kindly. "Of course. Take care of yourself." The father didn't speak, but when his eyes met hers, he gave the smallest of nods, an unspoken acknowledgement, heavy with something he wasn't ready to name. Amelia walked down the aisle, her tote slung over her shoulder, her head held high. She had kept her dignity, her space, her humanity, and in doing so, she had reminded everyone on board of a simple truth. Respect isn't something you demand. It's something you give. So, what do we take from this? The world is full of people who think their comfort matters more than yours. But dignity is not negotiable. You don't have to shout. You don't have to fight. Sometimes, the most powerful stand you can take is a quiet one. And when life shakes like turbulence at 30,000 feet, it's not titles or entitlement that calm the storm. It's humanity. Now I want to ask you, if you were Amelia, would you have given up your seat? Or would you have stood your ground? Let me know in the comments below. Before you go, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another story like this one. Share this video with someone who needs to be reminded of the power of quiet strength. Thank you for watching. Until next time.